Hey, Danny here, founder of Songwriters International, where we help songwriters develop their craft to go on write better songs and monetize their music. I've personally helped to date over 3,115 songwriters develop their craft. So if you are a songwriter, producer, artist wanting to write better music, then you're in the right place. Now in this video I'm going to share with you the 5 songwriting secrets that Ed Sheeran uses that you need to know as a songwriter to go on and actually write your best possible songs to date. Now before we do jump into the training, I've got an opportunity to book a one-to-one call with me personally where we can actually give you a clear plan of action, see where you're going with your writing, what the goals are and how to get to where you want to be. So if you want to do that, it's limited, go ahead, it's in the description, hit that link, head on over and I will look forward to speaking with you over there. So let's jump on into this and we're going to be going through the 5 things and we're going to jump at number 1. Now number 1 is authenticity. This is absolutely crucial, especially for Ed Sheeran in particular, but also all of these parts that we're going to be covering in the training are transferable to any genre, any type of songwriting that you can then implement for your craft. But authenticity, being authentic, being real, being raw, being honest is the backbone to many a great song. But let's actually show you this in examples to where Ed Sheeran uses this and how he leverages real life experiences to then write better lyrics and better songs. So we've got 3 songs that we're going to go through. We're going to go through his first song, which was his breakthrough song, which allowed him to go on and be as successful as he is, which is called A-Team. We're going to look at Small Bump and then we're going to look at Castle on the Hill. So let's first of all look at A-Team. Here you can see this song is about a homeless shelter that he went into and he met a lady there called Angel, who had problems with drug addiction, homelessness and other things, and he went there and he had conversations with everybody there, but in particular this lady called Angel, and he took that conversation, he took what he was talking about with her and he transferred it into a song. He felt an urge to write something specific to this situation. Again, this comes back to authenticity and writing about something that he can actually relate to. Now what I want you to do is actually see how this comes through the lyric. So if we take a look at the chorus, it says, "'Cause we're just under the upper hand and going mad for a couple grams, and she don't want to go outside tonight, and in the pipe she flies to the motherland or sells love to another man." Now it is quite literally so authentic, it's so real, it's so raw, it's painting the picture for the listener. And when your lyric is that honest and that raw and that authentic, as I keep kind of coming back to, it hits so much heavier. And let's take a look at the next song, which is Small Bump. Now this song in particular was written about a friend of Ed Sheeran's that went through pregnancy and hit the 5-month mark and unfortunately had a miscarriage of the child. So he again had a conversation with somebody, understood how it felt, took all of that, authentic, real, honest, and went and wrote a song about it. And now see how this comes through the lyric. "You're just a small bump unborn, in 4 months you're brought to life. You might be left with my hair, but you'll have your mother's eyes. I'll hold your body in my hands, be as gentle as I can." Now it's not that he's using a load of metaphors in these lyrics and going really deep with the lyric, but what he is doing is telling the story, relating to the listener with a really, really powerful lyric that holds a lot of weight, because I keep saying it, it's just authentic, it's real. He is literally just putting it down on a piece of paper to how he feels and what that experience that he's taken from somebody else and put into a song. Now the final song on this list is Castle on the Hill, which is the most recent released song out of the 3. And this song is basically just about a castle that Ed Sheeran used to play at when he was younger in his hometown of Suffolk. So if we take a look at the lyrics here, it is again just very raw, super honest, and just paints the picture. "When I was 6 years old, I broke my leg. I was running from my brothers and his friends and tasted the sweet perfume of the mountain grass I rolled down." Now hopefully you're starting to see the pattern here, just how he is taking a real life experience, something that he can actually relate to, something that he can be real with. So when he's writing his lyric, it just comes across a lot more honest. And a lot of songwriters unfortunately can be a little bit skeptical of being super raw and honest with the song. But I guarantee you, this is the backbone of why these 3 songs, but a lot of other songs that Ed Sheeran went to write, was so successful. It's because of the realness in the lyric. It hits the listener a lot heavier and it is so much better. So what I want to do for you in this part is just give you an example, very basic example, something that I can personally relate to myself, something that I've just put a few lyrics down for, and you'll be able to see how just raw, how honest, how vulnerable I am being with the lyric, and then in turn how much it hits far better. Now, something personally that I can relate to is being a dad. And before I had my daughter, how I thought I knew what life was all about, and that it had a lot of meaning, and that I could do this and I could do that. But the reality was, when I had my daughter, it just changed the entire perspective of how I see things. And I'm sure a lot of parents can relate to that topic and that feeling, right? So the song has such connection with everybody around the world in some way, shape or form. So I've put an example together just on this. I've been honest, I've been raw, I've been vulnerable, and I've put it down. So the lyrics here read, I thought I knew what it was all about till I looked into those eyes. 10 hands, 10 feet, and a face just like mine. Now that is quite literally me just telling you how I felt at the time, and that very moment when my daughter was born, what it was like, how it felt, and in turn, to you, it just is honest and vulnerable and raw. So now what I'm going to do, I'm just going to put some chords together. I'm going to do a very quick example. If I was to go and write this song, I would go ahead, maybe tweak that lyric accordingly and make it a little bit stronger. But for the example, let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4. I thought I knew what it was all about till I looked into your eyes. 10 hands, 10 feet, and a face just like mine. Knew it, and then you could go off and you continue to just tell the listener how you felt in that particular moment, or in my particular instance, how that felt. Now that is quite literally how you just say what you want to say on paper. That's how you be authentic, that's how you be real, and I can guarantee that will help your song along in the process. Okay, let's jump on in to number 2. Now number 2 is lyrics. It ties in quite nicely with what we've just gone through with the authenticity. Now, I have a thing that I teach to all of our students, and I want to share it with you, and it's what I call beneath the surface and surface level lyric. Now I want to give you a very simple example of this for you to understand what I'm trying to say. Now for this example, let's look at a surface level lyric. It would be something like, the tree outside has no leaves. So the way that we take that lyric and make it beneath the surface is we actually try to paint a little bit more imagery, or we use metaphors, or we do things like that. So let's change that lyric and let's go beneath the surface. Standing naked with just a root in the ground. Now hopefully you can see very easily how those two lyrics are fundamentally the same, but one of them is just saying it as it is, simple, and the other one is beneath the surface, and that balance between the process is really, really important. Now if we look at this in examples of Ed Sheeran's songs, if we take the song Perfect, this is a song he wrote about his wife. So again, you see the pattern, authenticity, realness, being raw. And he says, I found a love for me. And he continues on, he says, well, I found a girl, beautiful and sweet. They're what we call surface level lyrics. They just say what he wants to say. Now an example of an Ed Sheeran lyric that goes beneath the surface would be something like Castle on the Hill, where he says the lyric, and tasted the sweet perfume of the mountain grass I rolled down. Or in the song Lego House, he says, keep you sheltered from the storm that's raging on. Or another example would be a song that he wrote called Bloodstream, which says, coloured crimson in my eyes. So a balance of the both is really, really important in your process. And some songs that you write, you'll find that you're more surface level. And in other songs, you'll find that you're more beneath the surface. But a great tip I can share with you is this. When you're writing your verse, you'll find that typically it's beneath the surface. BS is beneath the surface. You'll find in the verse, you'll have more of those descriptive lyrics, more powerful lyrics that have taken you a little bit more time to actually craft rather than just saying what you want to say. And in the chorus, that's where we strip back the simplicity and we just say it as it is, and that's where we go typically more surface level lyric. Okay, into thing number 3 that Ed Sheeran does in his process. Now you can see this, it says throwaway lyric hooks, right? What this essentially is are repeated sections in a song, typically in a chorus, post-chorus, or in an intro, that is a simple oh, yeah, ba, da, la, whatever it might be, it doesn't necessarily mean a whole lot in the context of the song. It's not going to tell more story or necessarily clarify a point for a listener, but what it is designed to do is create hooks. Now, Ed Sheeran is a pop songwriter fundamentally. Now, even if you don't write pop, you write country, rock, soul, funk, it doesn't necessarily matter. You can still use these to your benefit. It's where we just, like I say, take a word and we focus on the melody, that it's catchy, repetitive, hooky, all of the things that we should want in the song, and then we solidify a point, get it stuck in a listener's head, and then they go away and continue to sing it. So let's show you the examples of how this works in Ed Sheeran's song. I've got 5 songs that I want to take you through, so let's jump in. So the first song is a song called Bad Habits, and it just has an intro section which goes ooh at the intro, then it comes in at the chorus again and it goes ooh, my bad habits lead to you. Ooh. Now, if you ask what the ooh means, it doesn't necessarily mean a whole lot in the context of the song, but it sounds catchy and hooky. Another one is the song called I Don't Care, which is the one that he did on the collaboration album with Justin Bieber. So let me show you this in context, and hopefully you can spot where the throwaway lyric is. 1, 2, 3. 'Cause I don't care when I'm with my baby, yeah. All the bad things disappear. You're making me feel like maybe I ain't somebody. I can deal with the bad nights when I'm with my baby, yeah. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Right, just that little section there, the ooh, ooh, ooh. Simple, hooky, catchy, doesn't mean a whole lot in the context of the song, but it works. Another song that he does it in is his very well-known song called Galway Girl, and it's just at that chorus where he goes, my pretty little Galway girl, my Galway girl, my Galway girl, my Galway girl. So it's just the my. It's repeated, it's catchy. It has a little bit more meaning because it is saying my Galway girl. So you can use it like that. But again, it's catchy, it's hooky, and it catches the listener's ear to brings them into the song. Now, another example here is the song called Sing, which is the one that Ed Sheeran wrote with Pharrell Williams. And it's just on that chorus section where he goes, 1, 2, 3, sing. Oh, whoa, whoa, whoa. Oh, whoa, whoa, whoa. Oh, whoa, whoa. It's just quite literally that. And it's catchy. Right? If you go and listen to it, if you haven't already, it catches your ear, brings you in, doesn't necessarily tell a whole lot of a story, but it is hooky. And then finally, he's got a song called Overpass Graffiti, which is the most recent song released, or it might be the second most recent song released in that list. And it's just a section after the chorus, and he goes, ooh, 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 ooh. Now again, doesn't mean a whole lot in the context of the song, lyrically, but it is, again, catchy, repetitive, hooky, all of those things that are very important to a song being memorable and bringing the listener back again and again and again. Okay, into point number 4, and this is what we call song title placement. So whatever your song is called, I love you, I need you, I want you, whatever it is, I find in a lot of the songs, whether that is Ed Sheeran, whether that's Max Martin, who I've spoken about a lot on this channel, who is an incredibly successful songwriter, or any other song on this planet, it typically finds itself landing in one of two places. So the title of your song, whatever it is, will fall in one of two places. So let's look at the song here by Ed Sheeran, which is Eyes Closed. You can see that the word eyes closed, or the two words eyes closed, actually fall in the first line of the chorus. Okay, as soon as the chorus comes in, it's I'm dancing with my eyes closed. It comes in, actually brings the listener in and introduces that title to them, and also it's authentic. This song is written about one of Ed Sheeran's friends that unfortunately passed away. Example number 2 here is American Town, and again this is a song written about Ed Sheeran's partner that used to live out in America and then she moved to the UK, but it says my English girl in American Town. It is quite literally straight in. As soon as the listener comes into the chorus, they hear it straight away. The next example here is a song called Two Step, which is a little bit more of a rap pop song. But as soon as the chorus comes in, it's two-stepping with the woman I love. And the two-step, the word two-step, just falls before the beat, if I'm not mistaken listening back to it. It falls in just before the chorus comes in, two-stepping with the woman I love. Into example number 4 here, and this song is called End of Youth. And again, this is an authentic song which is about Ed Sheeran's friend that I just mentioned that unfortunately passed away, and how that signalled the end of youth for Ed Sheeran. It was no longer just this happy place, actually it was real, and that there's pain out the other side as you grow that bit older. Now, the end of youth, the words end of youth, as you can see here, actually fall at the end of the chorus. So the other examples have fallen at the beginning of the chorus, the first line, but in this example it falls at the last line. Or finally here, this song called Afterglow, which was a song he released a couple years ago around the Christmas period, has been very successful, and you can see here the word Afterglow, the title of the song, falls at the end of the chorus. So the two examples we've just gone through, End of Youth and Afterglow, fall at the end, and the other 3 examples fall at the beginning of the chorus. So having analysed a lot of songs, there are songs out there that do have the chorus title in the middle, but on the law of averages, you'll find that the title either sits at the beginning or at the end. So as the listener enters the chorus, or as the listener leaves the chorus to go to the next section. And finally, into point number 5. The song should stand alone. What do I actually mean by that? Well, Ed Sheeran primarily writes a lot of his songs with just the guitar. He doesn't necessarily use big producers to go into the session and start the song there. He'll go with the guitar, he'll build it out, and then he'll go to that stage later on. So what this allows the song to do is stand alone. What I mean by that is he doesn't leverage the production to have this big, massive, great song. It stands alone. When you get the guitar or you go to the piano, it's just as good as the later version that you go on to hear on the radios. So what this is important for us as songwriters is to not have to rely on the production, not to rely on those things that we might say, oh, the song's good, but when it gets to production, my word, it's going to be that bit stronger. Because if you perhaps have a little think right now of some of your favourite songs, and think about going on to YouTube or anywhere else and just typing in the name of the song, then acoustic version. I love to do this all the time. I like to hear the song super, super raw. And I bet you the song is just as good, if not better, with the acoustic version. And I stand by that. I love to hear my own songs actually performed acoustic, or some of the favourite artists that I like to listen to. The acoustic song version, because the song itself stands alone. The lyric, the melody, the structures, the rhymes, the chord progression that just sits underneath it all comes together to have a great song. So when you're writing a song and you're actually in those production stages, perhaps, just strip it back and go, okay, let me just go to the acoustic version. Let me just have a quick play of this. What does it sound like without all of this big razzmatazz around it? Is it just as good? Or do I need to actually build the song that bit better before I start relying on the production to take it that bit further? So they are the 5 things that every songwriter should know regarding songwriting by Ed Sheeran, what he does, how he does it, and how he goes on to write great song after great song. So go ahead, implement this into your processes, your songwriting, and go and write those stronger songs. Now, if you haven't already, please consider dropping a subscribe for more videos just like this. As I mentioned before, if you want to book in a one-to-one call with me personally, where we'll actually strategize, we'll deep dive into your process, what you're doing, what your goals are, and how you can actually get there, then I would love to talk with you. The link below is in the description. Hit that, head on over, book that call. I've been Danny Boyle here, founder of Songwriters International. It's been a pleasure. I hope you've enjoyed, and I will see you over on another video.